Good morning, online people. Good morning again, girls. Girls, only before we start, let me ask you something. If you need to talk, if you need to ask any questions, interrupt the session, feel free. Okay, just please raise your hand, and then I will give you the microphone, and then you will speak very close to your mouth. Otherwise, people online don't listen to what you were saying. Okay, and then we have some silent moments online. And then when we come back, we are talking about something different and they don't know what it is. Okay? Good. How are you doing? Are you fine? Yes, good. People online, please participate today. Okay? Share your ideas with us. Well, so let's continue our sessions. We have had so far lots of interesting topics. We had the chance on Monday to get to know a little bit about the bilingual solution education that Cel.Lep offers. We met Viviane, we met Fernando. We had the chance also to see a little bit yesterday about ensino infantil. And in the morning, the refresher, we had interesting sessions as well. Okay? So we are going to continue talking about something that is very important, is very present nowadays in our area of knowledge, our field of work, which is education, teaching English. However, it's a little bit confusing. People have some questions about what exactly we are talking about, which is bilingual education. Good. So bilingual education, as I mentioned, is a complex term, okay? Especially in Brazil nowadays, there are lots of other terms related to bilingual education, and sometimes we confuse them. So the idea is to shed some light on the topic, to fix some misunderstandings, and help you better to deal with the topic. Before we start properly, I want to know what you know about bilingual education. So I'm going to ask you girls to be in pairs, okay, and share your ideas. Yes, you can sit together and talk. And people online, please, I would like you to take a moment, think about what you know related to bilingual education, and then share in the comments. And then João, tell us. Okay. Did you have time to share a little bit? Yes. Good. I saw that online people also shared. Tiago, Isabella, Isadora, they participated, and we have already some ideas. I'm going to ask you first here to share what you thought about, and then we check the online people. Okay, so who wants to share, to talk a little bit? Okay. I love when we have volunteers. Thank you, Isa. Good.
Okay, hello, morning. We talked about the view that people have on bilingual education. When people read or listen bilingual education, they think about English. They think about Portuguese and English. Or maybe they think that bilingual education is only for like the languages that are spoken in rich countries, you know, well-developed countries. They forget that, for example, people who live in small indigenous communities are also bilingual, and this is very important.
Good, thank you. Yes? Who else? Girls, would you like to share something?
We talked almost like them. We talked about people think that bilingual education is only English, for example, not Spanish, Chinese, and something like that.
Yeah. Please.
I think it is about Brazilian culture, you know?
Yeah, I think that here in Brazil we consider English because this is our reality. We forget about other cultures, about other countries, right?
Exactly.
For very much for your contributions, girls. João, can you share a little bit?
All
Yeah.
right. So first, Thiago shared that bilingual education gets a little jumbled up with bilingual solution or bilingual system. Isadora complemented that bilingual education is when all the school uses English in all the subjects or in the biggest part of them. Cassia said, when the students are taught in two languages, Thiago added that sometimes people don't understand it, and frankly, even he finds it hard to fully grasp the idea. Lol. Jennifer said that bilingual education helps students maintain their identity while acquiring a new language skills. Isabella mentioned that it's when the school divides their subjects into languages. So besides having English and Portuguese classes, students will also have history or math, for example, in English.
Okay. So I can say that some of you here presentially and online are in the correct path. Yes. And you were right, girls. Unfortunately, because we consider only the Brazilian reality and the reality of the big cities like São Paulo, we forget that the bilingual term can refer to other cultures, other languages, and etc. Okay? So first of all, we are going to kind of divide the session in two moments. In fact, in three moments, okay? The first one, we are going to see where the term bilingual education comes from, how everything started, and then we are going to see a little bit of the reality we have in Brazil. We are going to try to understand some of the terms we use. And finally, we are going to see how to put some of the ideas into practice, especially in our contest, the Cel.Lep contest. Okay? Oops. Just a moment. Good. So first of all, bilingual education, according to the original definition, is when education happens, when academic content is taught in two languages. Okay? So which means that the curriculum, the subjects of the curriculum are taught in two languages. One of them being the student's first language. So in our case, would be Portuguese and some other language. Yes? This term, this idea of bilingual education is started according to what we have in the literature in the United States, especially in the beginning of the 20th century, when lots of immigrants went to the USA, especially after the First World War, the Second World War, that they faced the idea they had students from different cultures, from different nationalities in their schools, together with the American students. So they saw they had to teach English to the students, but they also had to teach the curriculum subjects. So how could they do that? And then the first theories started, okay? So that's exactly what I said. So when the immigrants came, they brought this idea. So this is the original idea of bilingual education. Teaching curriculum subjects in both languages, or in two languages, right? The first language and a second language. What happens when the term came to Brazil? We had an umbrella term. It became an umbrella term. Why? Because after the idea, under the idea of bilingual education, lots of other things came up. In the beginning, before the pandemics, when some schools started to think about this idea of bilingual education, they considered whatever they wanted as bilingual education. So I know the examples of some schools which had one class, one extra hour of English classes per day, total 5 classes, extra classes per week, and they called themselves bilingual education. And because this was a kind of something different that the schools could offer, the parents didn't understand what it was, so they bought it. Okay? Fernando, some of you were here on Monday, so you heard Fernando talking that we don't have, unfortunately, we don't have many rules in Brazil about how the bilingual education or etc. works. We are starting to think about it. There is a project that is in MEC. Nowadays, I think it's under review of a group of academics, of a group of educators, in fact, that don't work in MEC itself. Okay, they are from independent groups, and they are reviewing all the project to check what it's possible and what it's not possible. One thing that we have nowadays is that this example that I gave you is not possible to call bilingual education anymore. If you call this idea of extra classes bilingual education and someone notifies MEC, the school can have problems. Okay? So far, so good. Yes? Good. When they thought about the term bilingual education and they started to putting things into practice, they thought of some models of bilingualism, okay? And here we have some of these models, the most common ones, the names and the concepts, but they are not matched, okay? So your job now, girls here in pairs, online people, you can think and share in the comments. I would like you to match the correct term with the correct definition. Okay? 2 minutes? Is it okay? Let's go. Girls here, is everything okay? Could you finish? Yes? People online, I see that Maria Luisa, Thiago, they contributed with their options. So let's see. Who wants to match the first idea with the first concept? Isa? Hi, thank you, Isa. You were so wonderful. Good. And I love that you like talking.
The first text, I think, matches immersion program.
Immersion program.
Yes.
Yes. I think that this is what we have here, right, João, in online? I think that people got the same idea. Girls, do you agree with them? Yes? Good. Can you share with us a second match, please? Your turn.
Yes, the second text, its focus is to reinforce and develop students' first language
Okay.
while teaching a second language. Is the first one, maintenance program or one-way dual program?
Okay. Girls, do you agree with them? Yes, and the people online also agreed. Okay. Would you like to share the third one and then they share the fourth one?
Yes. Yes, the third transitional bilingual education to help
Okay.
students transition from the first to a second language.
Okay. Girls, Rosanna, Isa, do you agree with the girls? Yes? Good. Can you give the last answer to us, please? Which is pretty easy, but
So
it's the only.
the fourth text matches dual language program.
Okay. Okay. So people online had the same opinion. So let's see if you were right. Okay, so that's correct. So transitional bilingual education is the process of helping students transitioning from their first language to a second language in order to become more proficient. Okay? The second one, maintenance program or one-way dual program, is focused on reinforce and develop students' first language And this is a key word, while teaching a second language. Chi, please. Good morning. Okay, so, oops, I think yeah. So while we are reinforcing and working with the first language, we are teaching a second one. Okay, so they happened almost at the same time. Okay? The dual language program or two-way dual program is when the instruction happens in both languages. So here they are happening at the same time. The first and the second. The goal is to make students develop their language skills in both languages. Okay? So in the one-way program, they work almost together at the same time. And on the dual, the two-way program, they work at the same time. And finally, the immersion program, which is, I think, one of the easiest ones to get. Students are completely exposed to the second language. They are completely immersed in the second language, okay? The classes from all subjects are conducted in the target language. And even the staff speak the second language. So outside the classroom, the staff communicates with the students using the second language. All the instructions and signs they have in the school, they have the first and the second language. So it's a way to completely immerse the students in the second language. Okay? Questions so far? No? Online? João, is everything okay? Yeah, they are silent so far. Good. And now that we know a little bit about what bilingual education is in the world scenario, it comes the time, the moment to talk about this wonderful place where we live in, Brazil. Yes, which is a complex situation. Yes, we already mentioned some of the ideas. Yes, some people talked about bilingual solution, bilingual program, bilingual school. So we have a lot. And they are confusing, okay? So we are going to check a little bit more about 4 terms that we use frequently. The first 2 ones we are going to see is bilingual education versus second language teaching. Is it the same? Is it not the same? What are the differences? What are the similarities? If there are differences, if there are similarities. Okay, so in pairs, and the trio we have here in front, discuss your ideas 2 minutes. Okay? People online, discuss and share in the comments. Sorry, I know this is an interesting topic. We could be speaking about it for a long time. But unfortunately, we just have 1 hour and 20 minutes to talk about it. Good. So some people are sharing ideas online. Cassia is sharing something. First of all, before you share with us what you thought, and we clarify the ideas, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the term second language teaching, okay? Because in Brazil, English is not a second language. So the correct term should be a foreign language teaching, okay? However, most of the information I found about it, they call it second language teaching, okay? Maybe because they are not focusing exactly on Brazil, but around the world. Yes? Good. I don't know where the microphone is. Okay, Isa! I'm so sorry, but you're going to have to give some space to Thiago because Thiago also loves speaking. Thanks God. Okay, thank God. Yes. So please, can you start? What did you and Rosana discussed about it?
Rosana mentioned that she believes that there's a difference between education and teaching because education refers to like following the rules of MEC, and it's about like formal education in schools, and teaching not necessarily. It can be about like people like just learning by themselves or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I may be mistaken, but second language refers to like a language. For example, if I'm a Brazilian person and I go to Germany, then German is the second language that I need to learn so that I can like work there and like
No,
something like
I
that.
believe the term is more related to Canada, for example, where they have two languages, and to communicate throughout the country, some people need to learn French. So they speak originally English, but they have to speak French, learn French to talk in some areas of the country. Because in some places they speak more English. In some places they speak more French.
Also, it's more about like countries that where they have like two official languages, two or more.
Something like that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much, Rosanna. I liked the point that you raised. Yes, about education and teaching. Good. Very good. Who else would like to share? Tiago. Oh, okay, the girls there. Good. Good. Go. You can go, girls. You can go.
I, after Isa talks, I think my point of view is very different and it's very wrong. But okay,
Okay.
we were discussing about this, and I think in my, I imagine the second language teaching, it's a kind of, how can I say, it's not like in the school. We can find the bilingual education at the school, and there they can learn about a lot of subjects, and they can practice. They can really act with what they learned. In the second language, I think it's more about to learn the grammatic, the grammar. Thank you. And I think they learn, but they don't practice like the bilingual education. It's what I think.
Okay. Okay. We are just checking ideas. Okay.
Okay.
There is no right no or wrong. Okay.
I think the difference between bilingual education and second language teaching can be about the time. So, how much time do the students are exposed to another language? So, in bilingual education, they are more exposed to another language than in the second language teaching. Second language teaching, I think, is also about teaching language in an instrumental way. So, kids can learn vocabulary, they can learn grammar, but they can maybe they will be not proficient in the language. And I was gonna say something else, but I forgot.
Okay. When you remember, we give you the
Yeah,
microphone
yeah,
back.
yeah.
Okay. G, would you like to share?
I think that a nice topic about bilingual education is that sometimes when we talk about bilingual education, I think because we were discussing that bilingual education is when you uses two languages uh, at the same time to educate, right? You use other disciplines and you teach other disciplines in both languages. And speaking of Canada, for example, or the great point about indigenous cultures that uses Portuguese, sometimes languages tend to be colonizing, and then when in bilingual education, it's easier to the main language get carried away and take over the other language. So it's a little uh, difficult to balance that. And in Canada, for example, they fight a lot to keep speaking French, right? Whereas second language teaching would be having an extra course later, or that same first idea to have the class, the first class, the the regular class in their mother tongue, and then they reserve 1 hour a day for a second language class. That was what we were talking about.
Okay, okay. You mentioned some interesting aspects. Some of them are right. Yes, I have to say that I haven't thought about the idea Rosanna mentioned, the difference between education and teaching, which is also good. It's another way of seeing things. And João, do we have anything from the people online?
Yes. Kasia stated that in the bilingual education, the contents are taught in English, but maybe the school just has English class. I mean, separated, something like that. While Pachi typed, simply put, bilingual teaching is exposing the student to learning a second language. Bilingual education is to insert the student in the context of the second language full time.
Okay, okay. Interesting that we are so used to talk about English in Brazil that when we talk about bilingual education, we only mention teaching English, learning English, right? We forget that there are other languages, and including here in São Paulo, very close to us here in Vila Clementino, there is. I'm not going to speak in French because my French is horrible. Lycée Pasteur, yeah, Liceu Pasteur, something like that. Pasteur something, which is a bilingual school in French. Yeah, I have a friend that applied for a job as an English teacher there, and he wasn't accepted because he didn't speak French. So he was going to teach English, but he had to speak French because outside the classroom, if he met the students, he had to speak in French with them. Okay? Good, thank you very much, the people online. So, first of all, let's see what bilingual education is. So, first, I'm so sorry, what's your name, Dimitri? Marceli. So as Marceli said, there is a difference in time. So to be considered bilingual education, the students need to have at least 4 hours per day of exposure to the language. Okay? So 4 hours per day. It's a lot. Usually the classes of different subjects as math, arts, history, they are taught in the second language, but not during the regular period, outside the regular period, okay? So let's suppose the students have classes in the morning, they have the regular classes, in the afternoon, they have the classes taught in English. So let's imagine that the students in their regular period are learning about Brazilian independence. So they are going to study the topic in Portuguese according to the curriculum and etc. And then in the afternoon, they have English classes about Brazilian education, about Brazilian independence in English. So they are going to discuss further topics, they're going to have more time to work on the topic, or maybe they are going to have a project, something different, but the same topic in English, okay? They are aligned, as I mentioned, to the national curriculum, and we have more exposure to cultural elements. As they have more time exposed to the language, they can learn more about the culture of the country, of the places that speak the language they are learning, okay? And then second language teaching, I changed it, but whatever, it messed around. We have only, or around 3 hours per week. So this is what usually we find in school centers or language centers, okay? There are different methodologies. So while we have a few methodologies used in the bilingual education, in the second language teaching, we have different methodologies. We can have, for example, the communicative approach. We can have the silent approach, whatever the school wants to use, okay? And the classes are not aligned to the national curriculum. So students can learn how to talk about food, how to talk about clothes, how to go to the movies, how to give their opinion about different subjects, but there is no relation to the national curriculum. And the exposure to the cultural elements, they are going to happen, but not in the same way, because they have little time to be exposed to the culture. So usually they have like celebrations. For example, we can talk about the Halloween. It's the most controversial one, but it's the most popular one as well. So they have the party, they have a celebration, students go to the school, they wear costumes. However, they don't study about the day. They don't know what they are celebrating and why they are celebrating the Halloween. In the bilingual education, in a bilingual school, they understand what is happening. Okay? So far, so good. Questions? No? Online education, online people is silent, so I think it's okay. We have two more terms for you to discuss. And I want to see what you know about these two next ones. Bilingual schools versus international schools. Very popular in Brazil nowadays as well. Yeah. So again, in your pairs, in the trio, discuss what you believe the differences are, the similarities are. Okay? And people online, please think about it and share in the comments. Easier? Yes, a little bit. Yeah, okay. People online didn't share anything. So, no, they shared? Please, João, let's start with them.
Katia said that international schools are independent of the national system.
Okay, international system, okay. Who wants to start sharing? Please.
Yeah, bilingual schools, they follow, bilingual schools in Brazil, they follow Brazil rules. And international schools in Brazil, they follow another country's rules. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know more information about it.
Okay, but it's good. What else, guys? Oh, Thiago? Girls? No?
We talked about the exchange they can have, like students can learn in São Paulo or in New York sometimes when they sell this type of education or this kind of school, and the curriculum follows both Brazilian and the international schools sets of rules. And the main thing we talked about was how interesting it would be to have like the opportunity to teach here, and then oh, I have a presentation next week in New York, and then they have this exchange. I don't know if that's it. But.
Okay, okay, thank you very much. Okay, good. João, we have something else online, right?
Yes. Vitória is saying that international schools use the IB curriculum. So everything is done in the language with classes from specialists in Portuguese. And even if the child changes the school or country, he or she does not lose content, as IB schools follow the same topics. Maria Luisa said that in bilingual schools, students have an immersive experience, learning all the subjects in the target language, while in international schools, students learn as if they lived in another country. Tachi mentioned that international schools follow the curriculum in their country of the origin, and bilingual schools follow the Brazilian rules and curriculum.
Okay, girls, thank you very much. Yeah, I think that we understand a little bit more about these two ones. So, as you mentioned, the bilingual schools follow the Brazilian curriculum, the national curriculum, and there are activities that happen in the second language outside the regular period. Okay? And then the international schools, they follow an international curriculum and international certification. And mandatory are only the disciplines as Portuguese, history, geography that are taught in Portuguese. The rest of the school, the rest of the subjects are in the target language. Okay, let's say target language to not use English all the time. Yeah. Okay, so far so good. Yes? Good. So let me just come back a little bit here to the types of bilingualism. If you had to place what we do in Cel.Lep with our material, with our classes, in which kind of program would you put it?
I would put Cel.Lep's proposal in immersion,
Okay.
although the system itself is inserted in a different setting. Cel.Lep's proposal, I think it's immersion because we only use English and we use all kinds of subjects. But then I
Okay.
don't know. For example, in my school, I would say that would be transitional because we use English while they use Portuguese in their other subjects.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Marceli has something to say.
No, yeah, I agree with him. In our school, for example, it's a transitional bilingual education. We teach English and we teach English in English, but they have all of the classes in Portuguese. And the staff also speaks Portuguese. So, yeah, it's more a transitional bilingual education.
Okay. Any other the other girls? Do you have anything to say? No? Okay. Online? People shared anything? No? So that's it. Basically, what we do here in Cel.Lep is closer to a transitional bilingual system or model. Okay? Good. Let me come back where we were. And then let me ask you, we talked about the idea of bilingual education in the world. We talked about this in the Brazilian scenario. So we know that it's difficult because we have lots of terms. Yes, it's difficult. So what do we offer? Is it bilingual education? It's not bilingual education. We are going to talk a little bit more about it, okay? But before that, we have to understand something important. Why do we need to learn 2 languages or more? Why is it important? And what are the benefits of learning a second, a third, fourth language? Okay, so we are going to watch a video and I want you to take notes of the benefits of bilingualism they mention. Okay, people online, you can take notes as well and share in the comments.
Hablas español? Parlez-vous français? 你会说中文吗? If you answered sí, oui, or 会, and you're watching this in English, chances are you belong to the world's bilingual and multilingual majority. And besides having an easier time traveling or watching movies without subtitles, knowing 2 or more languages means that your brain may actually look and work differently than those of your monolingual friends. So, what does it really mean to know a language? Language ability is typically measured in 2 active parts, speaking and writing, and 2 passive parts, listening and reading. While a balanced bilingual has near equal abilities across the board in 2 languages, most bilinguals around the world know and use their languages in varying proportions. And depending on their situation and how they acquired each language, they can be classified into 3 general types. For example, let's take Gabriella, whose family immigrates to the US from Peru when she's 2 years old. As a compound bilingual, Gabriella develops two linguistic codes simultaneously with a single set of concepts, learning both English and Spanish as she begins to process the world around her. Her teenage brother, on the other hand, might be a coordinate bilingual, working with two sets of concepts, learning English in school while continuing to speak Spanish at home and with friends. Finally, Gabriella's parents are likely to be subordinate bilinguals, who learn a secondary language by filtering it through their primary language. Because all types of bilingual people can become fully proficient in a language, regardless of accent or pronunciation, the difference may not be apparent to a casual observer. But recent advances in brain imaging technology have given neurolinguists a glimpse into how specific aspects of language learning affect the bilingual brain. It's well known that the brain's left hemisphere is more dominant in analytical and logical processes, while the right hemisphere is more active in emotional and social ones. Though this is a matter of degree, not an absolute split. The fact that language involves both types of functions, while lateralization develops gradually with age, has led to the critical period hypothesis. According to this theory, children learn languages more easily because the plasticity of their developing brains lets them use both hemispheres in language acquisition, while in most adults, language is lateralized to one hemisphere, usually the left. If this is true, learning a language in childhood may give you a more holistic grasp of its social and emotional contexts. Conversely, recent research showed that people who learned a second language in adulthood exhibit less emotional bias and a more rational approach when confronting problems in the second language than in their native one. But regardless of when you acquire additional languages, being multilingual gives your brain some remarkable advantages. Some of these are even visible, such as higher density of the gray matter that contains most of your brain's neurons and synapses, and more activity in certain regions when engaging a second language. The heightened workout a bilingual brain receives throughout its life can also help delay the onset of diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia by as much as 5 years. The idea of major cognitive benefits to bilingualism may seem intuitive now, but it would have surprised earlier experts. Before the 1960s, bilingualism was considered a handicap that slowed a child's development by forcing them to spend too much energy distinguishing between languages, a view based largely on flawed studies. And while a more recent study did show that reaction times and errors increase for some bilingual students in cross-language tests, it also showed that the effort and attention needed to switch between languages triggered more activity in, and potentially strengthened, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. This is the part of the brain that plays a large role in executive function, problem solving, switching between tasks, and focusing while filtering out irrelevant information. So, while bilingualism may not necessarily make you smarter, it does make your brain more healthy, complex, and actively engaged. And even if you didn't have the good fortune of learning a second language as a child, it's never too late to do yourself a favor and make the linguistic leap from hello to hola, bonjour, or ni haos. Because when it comes to our brains, a little exercise can go a long way.
Yes. So I saw that online people were still sharing things. So what can you say? What are the benefits?
It reduces the chances of having Alzheimer, dementia, increases the gray area of the brain. What else we're discussing? Something about the neuroplasticity of the brain also. Some emotional aspects. I think that when you are bilingual, you can have emotions and feelings in the target language too.
Good.
And what else?
Would you like, Ho, Isa, would you like to share anything?
Actually, we were still discussing when they shared
Sorry.
because we didn't finish. But I'm gonna say what I wrote here.
Okay.
So when you switch from a language to another in your brain, you make exercise. You make your brain more active. I heard them saying about the prevention of diseases, Alzheimer and dementias. I don't know if someone else has mentioned this, but you have more ability to solve problems, like logical problems in other languages.
Okay. Anything else from you? No? It's okay? Good. João, can you share about the people online?
Yes. Sorry. Monique said we can develop our brain. Gabriel mentioned, our bilingual brain offers numerous advantages, including improved cognitive flexibility, better memory, and enhanced attention control. It also delays cognitive decline and facilitates learning additional languages. Socially and professionally, bilinguals connect across cultures, boost empathy, and enjoy greater job opportunities. Larissa said that they said that the brain functions works different between someone bilingual and someone not bilingual. Kasia typed, adults are more rational. That's one reason to face some difficulties learning. Kids learn faster, but for sure everybody gets advantages of learning languages and feels part of a global world. Jennifer commented, learn about new culture, language skills, and also become multitask, especially the kids who learn a second language. Maria Luisa contributed, saying, studying another language is such a good exercise for the brain. It doesn't make us more intelligent. However, it does make our brain more active, helping us with creativity, problem solving, and reducing the chances of some neurological diseases.
Yeah. Thank you, online people. Thank you very much. Lots of contributions. Okay, Thiago wants to add something.
Yeah, maybe it's a hot topic, but it's a little polemic. But we are, I think that a misconception that we may get is that we become better multitaskers, but in reality, as human beings, we are not multitaskers. The thing is, when we are bilingual, we can decide better which task to prioritize. I think that's the thing, right? Because we tend to think that kids will be better at multitasking or something, but actually they will just transition better. Is
Okay.
that
Yeah, I was going
yeah.
to talk about that. Thank you very much. But yes, human beings are not not able to do different tasks, many tasks at the same time. According to the neuroscience, we can only focus, really focus on one task. Yes. What happens is that sometimes when we do the same activity many times and it becomes kind of automatic, we can do this activity and another one, like for example, driving and speaking. So because after we learn how to drive, we repeat this task many times and the process of driving becomes automatic. So I don't have to think, okay, now I have to step here, now I have to, the gear. No, I don't have to think about that. So it's automatic. So in this case, I can perform, I can drive and speak and then focus on what the person is speaking. Okay, but if I try to answer a message on the cell phone and talk to another person at the same time, or I will focus on one activity or another. Yes, it's not going to be possible to be 100% focused on both of them. So the multitasking is a lie, is a myth, as another myth that they mentioned in the video, which is the, my God, I forgot the term, the critical period. Okay, so there is a moment around when the children are 3 years old. They go through this critical period where they have a lot of new neurons origin. Yeah, they are coming, so they have more synapses happening at that time, and then around this age, they lose some of them. So the synapses and the neurons that were not important, they are lost, and only the ones that are important, they are kept in the brain. So people usually think that I have to teach everything I need to a child before he or she becomes 3-year-old. It's not like that, okay? After that, we have this period, we really go through this period, but after that, we can learn, and we learn a lot. Only when we get older that it becomes a little more difficult. We may need a little more time, but it's still possible to learn, okay? People in their 60s, in their 70s, they are learning new things, new languages. So this is another myth, yeah? So you mentioned lots of benefits. We are going to see some of them a little better and some others. So the first one that you mentioned is preventing dementia or other diseases like Alzheimer's. There are some studies saying that bilingualism can even help in Parkinson, okay? Because you have your brain more active, you have more connections. So if you have to present the symptoms of the disease, the symptoms are going to evolve slowlier, and they are going to take more time to start, because some of these diseases, there is a genetical connection, so they are not possible to avoid, at least until now. But by being bilingual, you can make the symptoms take a little more time to develop, okay? Switching between tasks, yes, which sometimes people can confuse with multitasking, but it's not like that. As Thiago mentioned, we see what it's better to prioritize, or we can change from one activity to another faster. Yeah, why? Because in our brain, we create more images of the things we learn, because we are learning not in only one language, but in 2 or 3. We can improve our cognitive skills. Yeah, so we don't become more intelligent or smarter per se, but as we have a more active brain, we understand things and we see things from different perspectives and a little better. We can get more aware of the language. So here it's not only the language per se, but even cultural elements. We become more flexible because we can see things from different aspects. That's why it's important to teach culture when you are teaching another language. And then we are going to put focusing on tasks, improve the memory, and improve the decision-making skills in executive function. So we improve our executive function because we have more connections to the prefrontal cortex, where the executive function happens, okay? And we can see all of this because of the denser gray matter. So according to these studies, that's where we can see the results and the effects of the bilingualism. Some other benefits, according to research, academic performance in other subjects improve because we improve executive function, so we can focus more, our memory improves, okay? Of course, that there are a lot of things to take into consideration, a lot of aspects that we need to think, like the way we study and etc., but it's possible to enhance our performance. It can be beneficial to develop a more flexible ear and speech muscles. So that's why we are more aware of the language, because we can hear the difference in sounds. Okay, we can hear, we can see the differences in vocabulary. It opens doors to new perspectives, as I mentioned, Bilingual people have better and more opportunities in professional and academic life. And there is also an improvement in communication skills and self-confidence, because when we can communicate in more languages, we had a learning process in which we learn by our mistakes. So it makes us more confident, okay? And then what happens to our brain is this, that we have, this is a brief text I'm going to summarize just because of the time, but what happens is, like for example, we have, let me take the bottle of water, okay? So for example, we, Portuguese speakers, we learn this word in Portuguese in the beginning of our lives. When we learn that, we create a visual image of the object, and we create a sound image of the object. And after, when we grow up and when we start to learning how to write and how to read, we create another link to the word, which is the writing. When we learn another language, we are going to have more three connections to this image. So always when I see a bottle of water, I'm going to activate six different areas of my brain. So that's why we increase the plasticity, the neuroplasticity. We have a more active brain. So that's why the bilingualism can help us a lot. Questions? Yes, Chi.
Just to add a fast thing, for example, there are languages in which objects are not gendered, right? And there are languages in which objects are gendered, but for example, the bottle would be masculine, and in Portuguese it's feminine. So even these notions we develop more when we are talking in different languages.
That's it. Thank you, T. Yeah, someone, I think that Tati said in the comments that it doesn't matter the age. We just need to learn. Yes? Better later than never, right? Good. And then finally, what we offer here in Cel.Lep. So we don't offer bilingual education. We offer a bilingual solution, okay? Which is the methodologies we use, they are focused on teaching the language as a means of instruction and communication, not an object of study, okay? So if we think about our classes in Portuguese, our Portuguese classes, in fact, we are going to have the teacher in front of the board teaching, vamos ver onde está o sujeito, onde está o predicado, o que é frase subordinada, So we are analyzing the subject, an object of study. When we teach at Cel.Lep, this is not our focus. We study grammar, we study vocabulary, but what we want is to teach children, teenagers to talk, to communicate, to express their ideas. That's why feedback is important, as Vanessa mentioned yesterday. That's why sometimes not focusing on the mistakes for too long is important, okay? The classes, they take place during the regular period and aim at helping the students to become their own responsible for the learning process, developing not only educational, but social and cultural abilities. So usually we say that our courses are prepared for 5 classes of 50 minutes, because we know that it's not always possible, but that's what we want. We want the students to have contact, not only with the language, but with the cultural aspect as well, okay? And the methodologies we're using, they help students to become bilingual citizens. So it's not a bilingual education, but as a bilingual solution, we help the students to become bilingual. Okay? Yes, Chi.
It's a question. When we are thinking about the types of bilingualism in Brazil, would it be accurate to say that Cel.Lep is then a mix when we say a bilingual solution? This bilingual solution would be a mixture of immersion and transitional, or just transitional and that's it?
Just transitional.
Okay.
Okay, because we don't ask the staff to speak the language. The students are not completely immersed in the language. Okay? Guys, unfortunately, we don't have much time. Okay, you are going to have access to the slides after. Okay, but only to tell you, we offer some techniques to you that are related to routine and classroom language. Everything that the people said already, and they are going to say throughout the other sessions. Okay, so Vanessa mentioned a lot yesterday in the communication methodology approach session. Okay, so we need to encourage our students to use classroom language all the time. So don't let them say, posso ir no banheiro? Okay, so encourage them to say, can I go to the toilet? Teacher, can I refill my bottle of water? Yes. Teacher, do you have Caesar? So all this language that is common and happens all the time, it's important that they speak in English, not in Portuguese. Okay, my dear?
Do you offer some material to support in the classroom? Poster, flashcards, something like this. It's my first year, so it's my first year.
Okay, especially for the educação infantil, we offer lots of things. We have the routine hanger, we have flashcards, posters, the greeting posters. In Fundamental 1, we also have, right, posters and flashcards, yes. Okay, and we have an online platform that you can use with students. And we also encourage teachers to create their own materials, especially during these first weeks of the year. You can have maybe 2 or 3 classes in which you're going to share with students what are the important sentences, the most common sentences they use in class, and then they create together in groups, posters, and then hang around the wall. Okay? But here it's important the consistency aspect. Okay? You have to tell them as more as you can, in fact, all the time, to encourage them to use the sentences. It takes time. You need to be patient, but the results are wonderful. Okay? And then we have some other techniques that we usually use. Realia, which is the use of objects, real objects. Yeah, you are going to provide a more natural experience. TPR, that is the total physical response. So as Thiago mentioned yesterday, using the body helps a lot, especially because we activate more areas in the brain, so increases the memory and storytelling. Okay? Guys, I know we had to talk a little bit faster now in the end. Do you have any questions? Can I help you with anything? To talk about more about physical response, probably we are going to have something in the other sessions during capacitação. Okay? Yes? João, anything online? No? Okay, so guys, we're going to have a 10-minute break and then we come back. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, people online, for your participation.